We are finally here to our second off season in the Montreal Expos franchise. A year ago, we did not know the direction we were going with this series, and we made a series of moves in the off season that set us up for a better season 2, but I think we really need a big off season to improve from there. In season 1, we went from 61 wins into the offseason, and we really made it a point that we wanted to improve our OPS and score more runs. So we went out and signed Christian Walker, who was coming off of an all-star year, hitting .301 OPS over 900, and we gave him a 4-year, $60 million deal. We also added to our rotation in John Means, a guy that did not have more than 2 starts in 2 straight seasons, and gave him a 3-year, $8.3 million deal to be our ace. But that only amounted to 5 more wins in season 2. And going into season 3, that's where we begin. Welcome to the postseason here in the Montreal Expos franchise. The Expos had an interesting season number 2, where we drafted a generational prospect in Luis Avila, and he is figuring to be one of the biggest slugging, switch hitting catchers in all of baseball, and maybe in baseball history. And he is 18 years old, and he has a lot of career ahead of him. In the second round, we drafted Diego Guerrero, one of the most MLB ready-made prospects coming out of college at the University of Miami. He's 23 years old, and he is tough to get hits off of with a high hits per 9. In season 1's draft, our first round pick was Bill Hedger. He was only 79 potential when we drafted him, but he ended his first professional season winning Minor Leaguer of the Year in our organization when he was moved up to the MLB level. In 83 at-bats during the September call-ups, he hit 7 home runs, hitting .313, a .400 on-base percentage, .614 slugging, and over 1,000 OPS. He is the favorite to win Rookie of the Year going into season number 3 as a possible DH or maybe a long shot first baseman. So that's where we begin going into the offseason. And looking at the World Series, look who's there again. The Texas Rangers have went to their 3rd straight World Series and are looking for their 3rd ring in a row, a 3-peat. How many times in MLB history has this happened? And they go up 3-0 on the Phillies. So the 2nd straight year, NL East team makes the World Series, and the Rangers win their 3rd straight title in a row. Incredible. Who's gonna beat the Rangers? They don't even have Jack Leiter up at the MLB level yet, nor Kumar Rocker. This is an amazing dynasty they have built. Ezekiel Duran wins MVP in the World Series. He had over 500. Corey Seager won AL MVP, and this was a World Series of the battle of the MVPs because in the NL, it was Bryce Harper. Both of them got major attribute boosts. They're pretty close to 99 overall. I believe Corey Seager's 98. Bryce is 99. So going into this offseason, I think we really need to address some things that we've seen at the major league level. And that starts with really building around our young guys and embracing our young core. And I'm glad we had a great draft because now we have a direction in this series. But first things first, I want to get to our major league awards. And we had a few award winners going into this season or after this season. And Christian Walker won the Gold Glove, so he actually got a attribute boost. Now, if you're wondering what the attribute boost is, what I like to do is give +3 to Gold Glovers. So then I go to other batting titles and MVPs. MVPs get +5 to all their attributes. I mean, it's a huge award. Batting title, you get +3 to all your hitting attributes. So I do this all across the league to give everybody a boost. And Rookie of the Year ends up getting a +2 boost in everything. And you can see what that did to Augustus Macklin. He's up to a 77 overall. And then like a Gold Glove pitcher like Jamal Watson, he got actually +5 and everything. He won a +5. It's only +5 for fielding actually, but he got a +5. And look, he's only at 23 fielding. That is hilarious to me. I don't know how that happened. He also gets a +1 in hits per 9, so he's now at 74. And he's officially switched his position over to closing pitcher. I thought that was the best role that I've seen him in, so now it's official. He is our closer of the future. More awards going around the league, and I wanted to make sure that I do this every single season, but I want to award our divisional teams with their players of the year. So Spencer Schwellenbach, who is a starting pitcher for the Braves organization, he wins minor leaguer of the year for them, and he's up to 73 overall. Josue De Paula was maybe the worst of the 4 teams as far as minor leaguer of the year. He is a left fielder. He's going to get a pretty good attribute boost, so he's going to go up +3 in everything, and he's up to 69 overall. And right now, he's actually on track to be one of their best hitters in the organization, so he could be at the MLB level next year. Pedro Cortez for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies for the New York Mets. He had the best season of any team in our division as far as minor leaguer of the years go. OPS 860. He gets that +3 in everything. He goes up to a 69 overall as well. He looks really, really good, and he's only 21 years old, so the Mets are going to have a middle infielder for the future. And then Alex McGarry, a first baseman for the Phillies organization for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. He goes up +3 and everything, and he already saw a potential boost after his performance this year. He's at 72 overall. So now we get into our off season, and I think we have a lot of work to do. Like I said, the goal is to build around the young guys, and I want to make sure I have the talent at the coaching level to adhere to what we're trying to do. So looking at hitting coaches, we're going to go with Barney Owen, who has a big boost in offense, and then Matt Quatraro, who I believe was one of our directors already or something. I'm not even sure, but he goes up. He gets a boost in hitting attributes as well for our organization, and that's something that I really want to emphasize for our coaching skills. We also made a change to the uniforms. Here are the blues. These are probably my favorite uniforms so far, and these will be our home, and then we will keep the baby blue for the away. That's kind of what we will do here. Keep those baby blues. I really love those. Those are my favorite jerseys, I believe, as far as away jerseys. So for the home jerseys, I really like the dark blues. So we will keep those for this year, and then maybe switch to the reds next year. We'll see what you guys think and how we kind of like those. So going into the offseason, we first want to honor one of our really overachievers at the MLB level, and I want to give Cal Mitchell a 3-year extension, which will pay him until age 30. He won the MLB, overachiever award, you can call it, or MLB MVP for our team. He was really, really good, and he was a surprising factor of how we hit this year. He was really, really good. He hit like 290. But then I need to go ahead and make some decisions on some guys that maybe are on the bubble, like Xavier Curry. We're actually not going to bring him back. Before heading into free agency, I definitely want to highlight some things, though. Our budget is $100 million. We want to spend at least 44 to get there. And right now, obviously, we'd be at, just below $60 million. But we have some money to spend going into this offseason. We are right now the lowest spending team as far as player salaries going into this free agency, so we have some money to spend. One guy that's available right away is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. How great of a story it would be to bring Vladdy Jr. to where his dad played a lot of his MLB years, and he was a legend with the Expos. That would be cool to see his son, who was born in Montreal, make his return home and play for the hometown Montreal Expos. There are a lot of other good guys: Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, Dylan Cease, Will Smith, Zach Gallen, Josh Naylor's a good name as well, Tommy Edwin, Michael King. I mean, this is a pretty good free agent class going into this offseason. Devin Williams and Brandon Woodruff from the Brewers. It looks like they could be headed for a rebuild. But one guy that really catches my eye early on is Brandon Woodruff and Aaron Savale. I really like Brandon Woodruff. He is 33 years old, and he's about 3 years out from that MLB 10-year service cliff that MLB The Show has in the game. And he's asking for about $13.5 million. We have the budget to sign him, but I'm wondering where else we could spend that money. I look at Aaron Savale, though, and he is actually pretty comparable and actually might be better. He's 3 years younger. Now, he started 33 games last year, started 32 the year before, and what I like to look at is how they do in the show, not in real life. So he had a 109 whip last year, 23 quality starts, and a 121 whip before that. So he actually is showing some consistency, and he's $2 million cheaper. So he's asking for 8.8, and we're going to offer him. He's going to be our first contract offer in the offseason. He's asking for 8.8. We're going to overpay him a little bit and pay him about $10 million. So, like I said, he was $2 million cheaper as far as a long-term contract, but for 2 years, we only have to pay him $10 million. So if we sign him, we have about $34 million to spend. So I take a hard look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But the only issue with this is we would have to give up our first-round draft pick going into next year because a qualifying offer was made. The Blue Jays have made a 7-year, $135 million deal, and he does not like that. A much cheaper option would be Josh Naylor. Naylor is also from Canada. So these are two Canadian players that we could add to our roster, at least one of them. And we only have the budget to offer one of them. And I take a long, hard look at Josh Naylor because he is a consistent ball player. My issue with Josh Naylor, though, is why isn't he hitting for more home runs? I look at his attributes, and they say he should be hitting for at least 20 home runs. He's got great contact. His power isn't elite, but it also isn't bad. I don't know how he's not hitting for more home runs. A third option here to offer money to is Bo Bichette. My only issue with Bo Bichette, and it's not really an issue with him, it's that we have Addison Barger who just hit 290 and Bo Bichette just hit 290. And I see that Barger is probably going to be a great young shortstop for us. So I make the deal. I make the call to Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s agent. We will sacrifice a first-round pick potentially to bring Montreal home and bring the kid back to Montreal. He was born in Montreal. He's seen what the Expos look like growing up. He was living and breathing it. And we offer him a $27 million deal over 5 years to return home. That will pay him until age 32. A big time move after coming off of a season where we only improved by 6 wins. But we need to add more. We have about, I'd say about $3 more million left to deal here. Maybe about, maybe like 10 million maybe. And I'm looking at Whit Merrifield. He's 37. He's 1 year off of that 10-year cliff. And he can play every position. And one thing I've been looking to improve is to score runs. We've tried Dairon Blanco at the leadoff spot, and he hasn't really lived up to expectation. So I like Whit Merrifield as a guy that can play every position, but especially second base. And those are going to be our first 3 contract offers. So Whit Merrifield, Aaron Savale, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That is pretty much all of our budget. And it goes and turns out that Aaron Savale and Whit Merrifield both agree on their contract. That brings our remaining budget down to $30 million. And then the dominoes start to fall. Dylan Cease goes to the Mets. So the Mets are starting to make moves in the offseason. Will Smith goes to the Giants on a 6-year, $87 million deal. Framber Valdez goes to the White Sox, 2 years, $53 million, $26 million deal. And then we get the news. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. agrees to a 5-year, $135 million deal, which pays him $27 million to return home to his hometown in Montreal. This is a great day for the franchise, and we made history today, bringing home a father and a son. So that also creates a huge problem. We have a logjam at first base. Bill Hedger's making his MLB debut. There's no question about that. He's making the opening day roster. There's obviously nothing stopping him from getting to the MLB except injury. And then there's Christian Walker, who I signed Christian Walker to a 4-year, $60 million deal last offseason. He's still due about 3 years, $45 million, but he's still got actually a lot left in the tank. He's 87 overall. I think he's got some high value. His secondary position is left field, but we already have Cal Mitchell out in left, and I'm not going to sacrifice our defense just to keep Christian Walker in the lineup. So I look at a team that does need a first baseman or a DH, and I think it's the Dodgers, a team that's willing to take on bigger contracts for having success. And they already signed Bo Bichette to a extension already, and they already had Mookie Betts at shortstop. So they will sign more than one guy at the same position, and they're not afraid to do that. So I look at them and see what the pieces they have. They have Gavin Lux there. That's an interesting piece. But we already have Barger, so we already talked about that. But I need to add pitching. And we did let go of Matthew Boyd. He was just getting old, and we're not going to re-sign him. How about Emmett Sheehan? Just an interesting player. He's got a total of 1 year of MLB service. Last year, he came out of the bullpen, and he had a 2.77 ERA with a 1.20 whip. He is actually 7th in line to be a starting pitcher for the Dodgers, and he has not got his chance to be a real full-time starter with the Dodgers. So I think he would be an amazing piece to get back in a potential trade. And he will be the main trade piece I look for in a trade for Christian Walker. Then there's Guillermo Perez, who is 69 overall, 26 years old. You know, I look at him and I think that he has potential in the bullpen. I'm not really sure, though, because in MLB The Show, it really punishes you if you do have low walks per 9. So we'll see with him. But the main piece is really Emmett Sheehan. We offer that deal to the Dodgers, and they will accept. So Christian Walker will either serve as their first baseman because he's a better fielder than what they already have in Freddie Freeman, or he will be their DH. And we agree to that deal, and that opens up some budget as well. Now we're at about $16 million remaining after that trade. But I'm not done with trades. At the trade deadline in season 2, I was a fan of Everson Pereira, but I could not trade for him because he was hurt at the time. And MLB The Show doesn't allow you to trade for players that are hurt. So I look at, why they would trade Pereira, and they have a logjam in the outfield. They obviously have Giancarlo Stanton, a lot of money due to him. They have Ian Happ, they have Verdugo, they have obviously Aaron Judge. They have a lot of guys in their outfield that are blocking Pereira. And Pereira also went down in potential as well. So I think this could be just a little prospect swap. Dustin Harris was a guy we acquired at the deadline, and he doesn't really do anything for us. And then Javier Assad is another arm they could possibly use. And we decide to make this deal. And Everson Pereira is a decent outfielder that has not gotten the chance at the MLB level. But what this deal does is it just creates competition in the outfield. We have Joe Adell, we have Bruce Edwards, we have Terrell Tatum, we have BJ Gibbs and Dairon Blanco. Adding Pereira to that might make it less muddy because I need somebody that's going to separate from the pack. And right now, it's just an open competition in the outfield. So we have still about $16 million. So I decide to go ahead and offer Kyle Higashioka a deal to be that veteran catcher until the young Luis Avila is ready for the show. I also go out and sign a bunch of just lower level free agents to fill our minor league roster. And if you notice any of these guys later, this is how we signed him. They were just guys that were just sitting in free agency that I want to pick up and kind of fill out our roster. And these guys will be in the minors, but I handpicked these guys because they have really good attributes right now. So we head into the draft lottery, and it's not going to matter because we signed Vladimir Guerrero Jr., meaning we surrendered our first round pick. So we'll see where we would have ended up anyway. So as the draft lottery goes on, we actually end up with the number 10 pick in the draft. We started at number 6, fall down to number 10. How about the Rockies? They have their third straight number 2 pick in the draft. So here we go in the Rule 5 draft, and this is where you can select a player from any organization that is not protected, and he will have to be at your MLB level for the entire season. So you want to make sure you're strategic in picking out guys in this draft. So I look at starting pitchers, and we don't truly need another starting pitcher right now. We have some young guys who we have that are developing, and I like the Emmett Sheehan move. That definitely adds to the rotation. So I don't really look there this year. I do look at Michael Toglia, and I like what he is. He can also play outfield. He's got decent speed too at 69, 70. Like, that's not too bad. And the reason why I didn't want to move Christian Walker to the outfield, because his secondary position was left field, is because he's slow. And then if we move maybe Cal Mitchell to right field, he's slow. And I just couldn't do it. So I'm looking really outfield and middle infield here in this Rule 5 draft. Christian Arroyo is here. He's an interesting guy because he's still only 30 years old. He can contribute to an MLB roster. One other guy I found was Michael Hellman. He's 70 overall, 29 years old. He can play every position. That's one thing I like about him, but he doesn't have MLB experience, so I don't know how well he's actually going to perform if he does get that chance. So I go back to Christian Arroyo, who can play first, third, short, second, and right field. So he can play a lot of places. And in case of injury, we need to make sure we have a good ball player backing up our starters. And I go with Christian Arroyo to be that guy. I need to make sure that we have depth every single season because injuries do happen. We do find out that the Royals signed Kyle Higashioka, and he signs for a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. I'm pretty surprised by that because I did not expect anybody to even offer him, because there's been guys sitting in free agency kind of like going into spring training that nobody even went after, and out of nowhere, I feel like Higgy just signed with the Royals. Josh Naylor ends up going to the Blue Jays, actually. So he actually does sign with the Canadian team. It's just the other one. And then Tommy Edman goes to the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays replace Bo Bichette and Vladdy Jr. for Tommy Edman and Josh Naylor. I would say that's not a bad offseason if you're going to lose those two guys. And they probably saved about $30 million in the process, to be honest with you. So that is our offseason. And we make a couple of huge moves that could shape our franchise going forward. 66 wins last year. We definitely need to improve on that a whole lot. I'm looking to be a wild card competitive team this year. And we look at our pitching staff. We have Savale, Means, Sheehan now, Alexander Santiago, and Cody Bradford. That is not in any order of what the rotation will be. Luis Avila is right now the top-rated catcher now in the organization at 78 overall. I don't know if he's going to start at the MLB level. At third base, we have Augustus Macklin and Andrew Monasterio and Christian Arroyo, obviously being the backup everywhere. At shortstop, we have Addison Barger and Monasterio there. And then at second base, I'm going to have an open competition with Whit Merrifield and Monasterio. The difference is Whit Merrifield stole 25 bases in 3 straight seasons. That definitely helps his cause because I need a guy that can score runs. Vladdy Jr. will be the starter at first base, replacing the veteran Christian Walker. In right field and center field, it's going to be an open competition between Everson Pereira, Joe Adell, BJ Gibbs, and Dairon Blanco. I think those 4 guys are in the competition. Terrell Tatum is there as well. He could compete, but I think he's got a long shot. He hasn't shown that he can really be consistent at the MLB level. And then obviously Cal Mitchell will be our starter in left. But I love our depth chart, and I love what we're bringing to the table this year. And we're just below that $100 million budget going into season number 3. So we have a lot of question marks going into season 3. And I think it's, will the young catcher, Luis Avila, really make his debut at the MLB level right away? How about Diego Guerrero? Will he make his MLB debut in season number 3 at some point? Does he kill it in spring training and just shoot himself up to the major league levels right out of college? Who knows? But anything could happen, I think. And he could even possibly start in the bullpen and eventually move to the rotation. Who knows? But I am excited about our draft class. And that's a big reason why I signed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I didn't have an issue giving up a draft pick. It would have been number 10 overall. We would have had a good pick there. But is the number 10 pick going to live up to Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? I don't think so. I think it's pretty much a long shot. So I thought, it would be worth the risk there, giving up a draft pick for Vladdy Jr. And honestly, getting Vladdy Jr., I would have or at least passing on him, I would have regretted that. Like, if I wouldn't have signed him, I definitely would have regretted that in the future. So I definitely played that into account. I would have regretted moving on with the series without going after Vladdy Jr. and bringing him home. So let me know what you guys think of the offseason. Vladdy Jr. signing with us, Christian Walker getting traded away, bringing in Emmett Sheehan from the Dodgers, and building around this young core, and also having an open competition in the outfield. That's going to be very interesting. I don't know how that's going to play out, but it should be interesting. Hit subscribe, hit that like button, comments down below in the comment section. Let me know how you feel. Stay tuned. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bible in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride.